There you go. Okay. Hare Krishna Mukunda Guru.
Hari Bol Prabhuji, Dhanyavad. Please give me your mercy and please take any Braj Duli and sprinkle for me. How are you?
I'm grateful to be here at home in Govardhan right now at the present moment. I'm having a little bit of a health setback, but it is a small one, and it wasn't enough to keep me from this ecstatic Harikatha. I would have to be on the verge of death to miss this. Maybe I can introduce you. My introduction will be very poor, but I can try to introduce you before you begin the presentation.
Okay, I feel like. Not embarrassing things though, not embarrassing stuff.
Oh, no, I will keep it very simple and as it is relevant to me. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's come to participate in this presentation, Purva, Raga, and Venu Gita. As you may have seen from the course description, Purva Raga is the state of separation that is experienced by the gopis of Vrindavan before actually meeting their beloved. It's a time of excitement and hope and anticipation. And in these different modes of separation, the gopis would often, not often, will always sing various songs that are pertinent to that spirit of separation. So the Venu Gita, as I had come to understand, was a song of the flute sung by the gopis in the spirit of Purva Raga. And so that's how the inspiration for this particular presentation came. It's largely inspired actually by studying Chaitanya Charitamrita and being attentive to the poetry of Mahaprabhu's ecstasies. When Mahaprabhu would go into a state of ecstasy, he would be held by the songs of Swarup Damodar Goswami and the Katha Ramananda Roy, and they would often be quoting verses from the Bhagavatam, and a lot of the verses were from these various Gitas of the 10th canto. So in order to get a deeper appreciation of Mahaprabhu's ecstasy, of the songs that hold him when he's in that state of ecstatic despair, I had a personal interest to want to understand in a more deep way these Gitas. And I was like thinking, who will spend time with me to teach this? And I said, Mukunda Prabhu, he's kindly shown attention to me. Even though I hardly know him, I've only just recently met him like a year ago. And but the way he speaks to me is as if he's known me my whole devotional career, which made it clear to me that he's been attentive to me, even though I didn't know he was being attentive to me. There's a shloka like that in the, that the tortoise nurtures her eggs by meditation. And so I was very much feeling that even though I didn't know Mukunda and I've only recently met him, I felt like he's kind of been nurturing me by meditation and kind of keeping tabs on me a little bit, what my activities have been over the years. And so just being attentive to that affection that I didn't even know I was getting, I said, here's a person who will probably spend time with me, personally teaching me this. And so when I wrote him with the idea of this presentation, I said, honestly, I really want this presentation for myself. I really don't care who participates in it. And if others want to also get the mercy, okay, they can also come. But I wanted to be clear to him that this is really for me and for what I kind of need and my devotional service right now. And so that's my glorification of you. It's very simple. He's very scholarly, he's very dynamic. And when the Harikatha turns on, we may not be able to find the off button. He just gets so into it. It's ecstatic to see someone so experiencing the joy of actually Shravan Kirtan. It's very contagious. And so Mukunda Prabhu, that's my simple introduction. I hope there's nothing too embarrassing there. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this for me. And thank you for all who are also participating to get a chance to taste that happiness.
Well, thank you, Prabhu. It's a fact that I have a great deal of affection for you. I have seen you from many, many years ago in Chicago and in Vrindavan and so many places. And I always felt and thought that this devotee has great hope for the future of bhakti and Krishna consciousness. I really did. That was my genuine sentiment, that someone who has so much aspiration for depth in bhakti and is pursuing it in a serious way, it gives great hope that the future, that generations to come have a model that's completely like sort of non-sectarian, very steeped, very serious. And that's a big service, especially at a time when there's so much confrontation and so many mixed ideas and everything else. Finding that sort of model in your own peer group, it can be difficult sometimes. And that led to a discovery of Ypsilanti devotees and so many things. And so, yeah, I mean, we just came from traveling for Harikata, and last stop was Ypsilanti. And so it was very nourishing, and it just so much pleasure comes in my heart. And also some devotees who are who are part of our little traveling group, they also witnessed that, and it's just very, very ecstatic for us. So we did manage to bypass a hurricane here. I don't know if you noticed, so we do have a few little hurdles to get over here, but we will try today. I'll start with my Stavan Stuti, obviously, but we'll try today to set the template, because if there's a template for understanding the nature of Rasa Vichar, it becomes easier to take the template and application to any Granth you may read, whether it's Rasa Panchadhyay, or whether it's Dan Keli Kumudi or Utkarikavalari, any Grantha that you read, which is primarily Rasa Grantha or Rasa Sastra, or including Srimad Bhagavatam. This template gives the best mechanism to understand what's happening. So first Stavan Stuti, of course. Esi Guru Dinabandhu Ganada Swananda Datta Krinai Kasindu Vrindavana Sinavatar Prasida Si Radha Prachaya Prachara Ajandu Lambito Bujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanai Kapitaro Kamlaya Taksho Vishwambro Dvijuvo Yugadama Palo Pande Jagat Priyakaro Karuna Avataro Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himam Divachcha Vishandaraya Tasmai Mahaprem Rashadaya Pradaya Shri Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Kosturi Tilakam Lalata Patale Vaksalina Kostavam Nasagare Varamoktikam Karatare Venu Karakankanam Sava Angahari Chandanam Sulalitam Kanta Muktavali Rajastrio Parivesido Vijayate Gopala Chudamani Eshi Shama Shandara Shikara Shekara Smiraha Samini Manohara Radhika Rasika Mama Kripaniri Supriya Charana Kinkari Tvai Vasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyai Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam Yat Kinkreshu Bahusa Kalukakavani Nitapurasha Purusha Shikandamuli Tashakarara Saniri Visabanu Jayas Tatkeli Kunja Bhavanangana Marajini Shama Vajami Radha Ravinda Netram Smarami Radha Madhuro Smitasham Vadhami Radha Karuna Varajam Tato Mamanasti Gati Nakapi Pakita Vahina Yaparada Lakshai Shiptas Chakamari Tarangamaji Kripa Mai Twang Sharanang Prapana Vrinde Namaste Charana Ravindam Kanaka Jalaragatro Nila Sobhagya Netro Mrigu Maravarabalo Malati Kundamalo Talana Taranavesho Nilampitambaresho Smarani Nibritani Kunje Radhika Krishna Chandro Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Dhanavad Pranam devotees. So as we mentioned, we wanted to start by sort of setting a template under which to operate in understanding Prem, how it generates from Shraddha, and how then Prem, after Bhav, becomes a Vastu, how that Prem Vastu goes through iterations to Anurag, which is the Sthai Bhav of Madhurya Rasa. That Anurag undergoes transformations to Mahabhav, which becomes Rud, Adirud, Modan, Mohan, and exclusively in Shrimati Radhika, Modanakya Mahabhav. So Shraddha is the very lean and thin, distant prabhav of Prem. But it has such a powerful effect that it can break the abhinivesh of the jiva. The jiva in the material world, who's bound by avidya, undergoes 5 different features. One is called avidya itself, means avidya, the lack of knowledge of one's own swarup. Here, swarup does not mean swarup like siddha deha, etc., rasa, etc. It simply means the nature of the jiva. Jiva Goswami Pad is mentioned in Nadi Paramatatva Jnanam, Samsaga Bhava Maya, that the jiva has been from Anadi Kal, the prag abhav means absent or void of knowledge of their essential nature of being spirit. So the avidya shakti means that. Avidya, because we do have an identity, gives then a false identity, which is called the asmita. Asmita then becomes enhanced by ahamkara, which essentially means aham, I am the karana, and karata, I am the doer and the cause of what's happening. So Bhagavad Gita, of course, has proved this false. Prakriti kriyamonani gunai kamani savasha aham karavimuratma. It is a state of bewilderment to think within the context of material life, I am the cause and the doer. So even though Jiva Goswami says we have kartata and bhoktatva, etc., that's related to our spiritual identity. Thinking we have that in the material world is a false identity. So having an asmita, a sense of something other than being the das of Krishna, and having a hamkara to support that, the only remaining ingredients is a direct designation or identity that comes via karma. Karma, dhaivana, natrena, janto, deo, papatye, etc. From this karmic cycle, we get an upadi. I am John Doe, Sam Doe, and Sally Doe are my parents. I belong to the Doe clan, etc., etc. So in this way, we have a upadi in this world, a particular karmic designation. The jiva, even when they want to, right, they cannot break the nature of rag, dvesh, and especially abhinivesh that are features of avidya. So abhinivesh means an inextricable absorption in that false identity that can't be broken by any endeavor of the jiva. So it's explained in the 11th canto, I think it's 22:10. Anadi avidya yukta sha purusha shaviratmanam swato na sambhavanti. On your own, you cannot break the connection with Maya. Anya, it requires another. The other person should be Gyanatva Gyanado Bhavet. So Gyanatva means they should have realized the nature of spirit, means sadhu. And Gyanada means their disposition to give that to you. So Jiva Goswami Pad, when he was describing a sadhu in relation to bhakti, because sadhu is a broad category, to narrow the broadness of that category, he described sadnoti sadayati cha Krishna prem itti sadhu. So for our contextual purposes, a sadhu means who has understood Krishna prem to be the ultimate reality. That person, Jiva Goswami says, is called sadhu in context to bhakti and in value to us. So that anya, other person who has gyan related to prem bhakti is sadhu for us. That person can break the abhinavesh of the jiva with Maya. How they do that? They give 2 installments of faith. One is Ado Shraddha, which is the semblance. I was hearing from one person I take shiksha from, very high class of Vaishnava who's in Braj, that it means favorable acceptance through a Gata Sukriti of hearing something from a sadhu or experiencing the prabhav of a sadhu. So prabhav means you heard a kirtan. Like in the case of our Srila Prabhupada, he was a sane patibhakta, means like a general in the army of Mahaprabhu. Therefore, his influence of prabhav created circumstances that allowed people to come in contact with bhakti. If there was some favorable disposition towards that, I gave a donation for a book, I took some prasad, I went to visit the temple on Sunday. I saw the Vaishnav decorated with tilak, chanting Harinam, and I had favorable disposition. That is Ado Shraddha. But more importantly, actually hearing something, which then gives the seed or the inspiration for the growth of actual Shraddha. Then Shraddha means from Mati to the stage of Krishna Seva Vasan. So in Madhurya Kandamini, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada has explained this thing. Sava Sangamena Ratnya Ankor or Rupa Eva Mati. So Mati means like discrimination. The symptom of that discrimination was done by Sanatana Goswami Pad. What did he ask? Who am I and why am I suffering? That is called Mati. That's the first symptom that the Prabhav of Shraddha has entered the Jiva. Because he starts to look, or she starts to look, what else is there? This can't be the all in all. Mahaprabhu, of course, in synopsis gave the answer, Jivera Supoya Krishna and Nitya Das, that everyone is the Das of Krishna. You're suffering, or we are suffering because Jivera Tatashta, what is it? Jivera Tatashta Shakti Bed Abed Prakash. Because we are Tatashta, Swabhav, means we have a marginal nature. We may be influenced by the material energy, as I already explained, or we have capacity to be influenced by the spiritual energy. So when faith arises, faith is the first lean, thin expression of the prabhav of prem. The symptom of this prabhav of Swarup Shakti or prem is Shraddha Anupayani Varajam Bhakti Unmukhi Chitta Vritti Visesh. It has the power to break the abhinavesha of the jiva and turn the jiva towards Bhagavan. So the jiva who was Bahiramukh formerly is now Unmukh towards Bhagavan. So that mati, which is the bij, literally in the verse, Brahmanda Brahmanya Kona, what is this verse? Brahmanda Brahmati Kona Bhagavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Bhai, Bhakti Lata Bij. So here two things are mentioned actually. Sometimes we don't think like that, but a lata and a bij have been mentioned. That bij is mati. The lata is now when faith is established, it creates Krishna Seva Vasan, the desire to serve Krishna. This is Bhakta Unmukhi Chitta Vritti Visesh. That now the Chitta Vrittis, which are the functions of consciousness of the jiva, because the jiva himself never touches material energy. Asangohyanyam Purusha. The jiva has never actually touched the material energy. Everything is vicarious. So the jiva from their established position is observing the functions of the modes of nature on the chitta, and the chittas are reflecting that back to the jiva who's become absorbed in the experience. So now that is broken by the influence of Shraddha, which is the weakest element of Swarup Shakti or Prem. That Shraddha then becomes the object for which we look to repose. In other words, when Shraddha appears in the heart, we start looking for where can we deposit it. You understand? The first deposit that we make is in sadhu, and therefore the next iteration in the unfoldment of bhakti is called sadhu sangha. Because that faith is like a currency, but we don't know what to do with it. So fortunately, the manual has come down from Rupa Goswami Pad, invested in a sadhu, Guru Parasraya, Tata Diksha Shikshari, etc., Vishwambena Seva, right? Invested in a sadhu. This is called sadhu sangha. Literal meaning of sadhu sangha, already I've described what is a sadhu. To do sangha means samyak rupain anugamana. So samyak rupain means completely, with body, mind, words, and mood, to completely do anugatya to a sadhu. Anu here means three things: continuously, without break. Anutva means with humility, Trenadapi Sunich. And anugatya also means following. So to continuously follow with great humility, a sadhu, as I described before, is called doing sadhu sangha. The results of sadhu sangha is that the prabhav of Swarup Shakti coming from the sadhu means, like in the verse, Satam Prasanga Mamaveya Samvido. So in this verse, sometimes in the translation is given, Mama Virya means descriptions of my powerful activities. But here the word virya, if you look in the Sanskrit Abhidhan, in the dictionary, virya means a shakti or a power. So sattam, prasanga. The sadhu has the ability to give prasanga. Here again, this prefix pra means prakrishtarupe, means full, powerful. Sangha, because mama virya, they have my virya, means swarup shakti. So their samvad contains swarup shakti. The samvad of the sadhu contains swarup shakti. So from that samvad or harikatha or agyay means order of guru, sadhu, then swarup shakti is embedded in that, and it is that swarup shakti which is causing the evolution of the simultaneous removal of ignorance and the attainment of transcendental knowledge. So this is called bhajan. Kriya here means the effect of the prabhav of Swarup Shakti. That's why it's called bhajana kriya. The kriya part means the prabhav of Swarup Shakti. So it becomes bhajan kriya. It has a potency to create an outcome. So that bhajan we know, I'm not going over all what is bhajan life because that will take too long. But the pragmatic expression of bhajan is that with body, mind, and mood. That mood is garnered from Sambandha Gyan given at the time of Diksha. I don't know who all is on the line, so I cannot give full expression to what is Diksha and go through meanings of Diksha, all these things. But Jiva Goswami Pad has essentially said, Divya Gyanam Yantra Shrimati Mantre, Bhagavad Swarup Gyanam Tena, Bhagavad Sambandha Visesh Gyanangscha. That Sambandha Gyan given at the time of Diksha, that is the revelation of what is your Ishtadev and what particular relationship you have with that Ishtadev in a seed form. This is also the meaning of Guru Dev giving Krishna Prasad, meaning relation with Krishna, in a bij, in a seed. Understand? So now practicing bhajan with Sambandha Gyan, because without Sambandha Gyan, if you get up in the morning, do your namaskar to Shri Guru Dev, do your stav and stuti before you get out of bed, follow all Vaishnav Sadachar for cleanliness, all these different things, go to Mangalarti, touch the lotus feet of Guru Dev, go through Guru Astakam, which is complete Rasi Kavya. I'm not going through that here because our subject matter is different, but it's complete Rasi Kavya Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which if you read Madhurya Kandambini, you'll see within the Guru Astakam is a synopsis of the entire Madhurya Kandambini in relation to Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarthanavritti, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti Bhav. It's all there in Guru Astakam. You understand? So, having deep understanding of the artha of Sri Guru Ashtakam, because you have Sambandha Gyan. So you will not sing Nikunja, you know Rati Keli Siddhai, and then stand there with a blank stare on your face. You understand? Because on having the revelation of the Siddha Rupa of your Sri Guru Dev, right? How you'll be able to maintain yourself. So murchit, fainting should occur. So if you can't faint literally because you're afraid that they won't call the ambulance for you because it's disturbing the temple program, then at least by mind, you should have murchit. You understand? Coming back into sadhaka vas, right? Coming back into your mood as a sadhak, then you'll say, Sakshar Harit Vena Samashta Shastra. Oh, Guru Dev, according to our Sastra, has been described his glory like this. You understand? So like this, doing bhajan, from this kind of bhajan with Sambandha Gyan, the actual prabhav or the kriya of Swarup Shakti then illumines the heart of the sadhaka. From that comes Anarthanavritti. Anarthanavritti is a byproduct of the influence of prabhav of Swarup Shakti. It is not a separate endeavor. So the jiva, just like he could not do prior to the ascent of faith, he could not remove the anarthas. Similarly, during bhajan, it is not the aspirant or sadhak who's removing anarthas. Sometimes this becomes very confusing. Sometimes devotees think, oh, I'm going to do a process and work on myself to remove my anarthas. We cannot remove anarthas. The kriya, the shakti of Swarup Shakti removes anarthas. Just like to dissipate darkness, one need only turn a light on. You cannot physically remove darkness like take buckets and throw the darkness out. Only light dissipates darkness. So the prabhav, or the influence of Swarup Shakti, dissipates anarthas. 27 types of anarthas if you lump them together, right? Means 4 types of 4 anarthas, right? 4 types of 4 things like the 4 types of 4 anarthas, 6 types of unsteady bhakti, 5 types of mental disturbance in taking Harinam, like loy, vikshepa, pratipatti, koshai, rasaswar, etc. So Madhurya Kandamini, all these things are mentioned. So these anarthas are removed by the influence of bhajan, true bhajan. Problem is, if bhajan is not being done with Sambandha Gyan, etc., then there's a very weak influence of Swarup Shakti's prabhav. So 10, 20, 30 years, devotees practicing, but then no experiences coming. Understand? Because it means that there's a weakness in the flow of Swarup Shakti. Like if you take a hose and you choke it off, right? So the absence of practicing with Sambandha Gyan chokes off the flow of Swarup Shakti coming. So if you hear Harikatha, or if you have to speak Harikatha, then you resort to speaking about current events, this thing, that thing, because the nature of the patra, your heart patra, has not become full. That means you have not heard sufficiently from sadhus real Harikatha, right? So then the tendency will be to lean on to other kinds of things. So it's choking off the pure flow of Swarup Shakti, because Swarup Shakti is embedded both in Nam and in the Swarup of Nam, which is Harikatha. Nama Chintamani is Krishna's Chaitanya Ras Vigraha. So Rasa Samagri, which can only come from Swarup Shakti, is present in Harinam. The Swarup of Harinam is Harikatha. Understand? So if you're hearing Harikatha, doing bhajan with Sambandha Gyan, then that flow is open and there will be effects in your chitta vrittis, changes in your chitta vritti. Then from the removal of anarthas, nishta nischalaya yashaha iti nishta. Then nishta will come. This nishta means that the chitta vrittis will become placid and translucid. So as previously, so many influences of Rajas, Tamas, and Sattva have in various mutations and combinations played out a drama on the chitta. That drama, which nobody wants drama, right? So we can apply it here, right? That drama is pushed underneath the influence of the prominence of Swarup Shakti coming in the form of Harikatha, Hari Bhajan, Vaishnava Seva, Thakurji Seva, etc. So now the chitta vrittis tend to gravitate towards looking only for that. So their nature becomes passive, right? They're not being activated by mundane influence. Almost simultaneously, because the chitta vrittis are very active, almost as soon as that placid nature appears, then tat tat bhava adi madhyaye shuti dirapekshate nasa sasana yuktingscha tal lobat utpatti lakshanam. A lobe or greed arises in the Atma. That lobe is called ruchi. So the first ruchi is ataha ruchi bhajan vishay. It becomes ruchi in bhajan, because now having an experience of some kind of taste, one thinks, oh, from this Harinam, from this lifestyle of bhajan, this sweet mood has come. So now the Vishaya object of your ruchi becomes the bhajan itself. Oh, I was chanting 16 rounds, 32 rounds before. Maybe I'm chanting 1 lakh Harinam. Because so much taste has come from the bhajan itself. Going to Mangalarti now and doing Mangalarti with all meanings. Doing Nisant Lila. You understand? Like in our mat, also we're singing Mangala Shri Guru Gauda, Mangala Murati, Mangala Shri Radha Krishna Yugala Preti, Mangala Nisanta Lila, Mangala Udaye, Mangalati Jage Bhakatarida. So now you're singing the song which relates to Nisant Lila, in Asaka Lila, of the Seva of Radha and Krishna. Understand? It's implicated in Guru Ashtakam. But in this Mangalarti song, which was written by my Param Guru Dev, Nitya Pravishna Vishnupad Paramangsa Satara Sisima, Srila Bhakti Pragankesha Goswami Maharaj, he is manifesting the mood of the Seva during Nisant Leela. If you've understood your Sambandha Gyan to some degree, if you have not, if you haven't fully realized your Sambandha Gyan anything, but you are practicing with it, still at that time of Seva of Nisant Leela, two kinds of Seva are prominent. One will be obviously Manjari Seva. Sakhi Seva will also be there, or also Priyanama Sakha Seva will be there. Right? I'm not describing how till maybe later on, maybe as we start getting into Venu Gita actually tomorrow, then we'll start to bring out those things. But prominent during this time is the Seva in those categories. You understand? So it's not that Brahma Muhurta hours was particularly because, oh, it's very auspicious. Nobody's going to work yet. There's no traffic, etc., etc. It has some significance related to Sambandha Gyan. You understand? So I'm practicing this way. Ruchi in the practice becomes very tasty. Then Prodha Parama Atma Sayati Bhajaniyam. Sayati Bhajaniyam. Right? So then in the maturation of Ruchi will come Asakti. Right? Bhagavan Karanam Tadeyam Asakti Akyayate. So what was Ruchi in bhajan itself, chanting, hearing, serving, now becomes Ruchi in the object of the bhajan or bhajaniyam, Bhagavan. Bhagavan here means Radha and Krishna, right? Rupa Goswami has explained that any attraction to Krishna, Stai Bhav Uttara Prokta Sri Krishna Vishayani Rati. Though Krishna is the object of any Stai Bhav, Sri is mentioned here. Because Krishna is never without Radhika. Radhika is the Swarup of Krishna. Radha Krishna Chahi Eka is Swarup, Leela Rasa Sudite, Dhari Duri Rup. They've taken two forms for Leela, but they are one Swarup. So here the object means Radha and Krishna, the Vishai. Now Radhika in the Leela manifests Ashraya Jati. We'll get to that coming, but this is how we should understand. So our Asakti towards Bhajaniya means towards Radha and Krishna, according to your mood. Now, the thing that happens in this Asakti stage is that an Abbas of Swarup Shakti appears on the Chitta. Up to this point, the Prabhav of Swarup Shakti has become thicker and thicker and thicker. Now in Asakti, an Abbas, a shadow. Now, whenever there's a shadow cast, it means the substance that casts the shadow must be present. You get this point? If you're laying on the beach sunbathing, which I should not be doing, of course, right? If anybody will come and stand over you, you can immediately tell that that feeling of the sun has been blocked out now by a shadow, right? Everybody can perceive that. In the same way, on your chitta, in the stage of a Shakti, Jiva Goswami and Bhakti Shandava clearly mentions, Tasya Tadrisa Sudha Karakabasa Sumalasita Hridaya Spatikamani, that the heart becomes crystal-like. Sastrari Shruteshu Ragatmakaya Bhakti Paripattisu Api Ruchi Jayate. At that time, an Abbas of the mood of a particular associate comes onto the chitta of the Jiva. It's at that time that the Jiva realizes a fixed, determined mood, which was the outgrowth of the Sambandha Gyan given addiction. You understand? It's at that time that Guru can do Ruchi Pariksha, means examine your Ruchi. Like in one of the works of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Jaiva Dharma, there were two persons, Brajanath and Vijay Kumar. When they came to this stage of Ruchi, Gopal Guru Goswami, he did Ruchi Pariksha. Oh, what is it that you like? What taste has appeared in your heart? One said, oh, I really like the mood of Subal. Other, I like the mood of following Lalita, Visakha, etc. Because in Madhurya Rasa, one cannot become the Gurujan. So this is a little bit of a touchy subject because in Vallabh Sampradaya, they have some mood like Sakhi Bhav. But according to our Gaudiya Vichar, the highest aspiration in Madhurya Rasa is Manjari Bhav, Bhavulasrati. Understand? So one person said, I have this mood. The other said, I have mood like Priyanama Saka. From that day on, Gopal Guru Goswami said, you come on different days because I will give bhajan siksha according to your individual moods. Understand? So this stage happens in a Shakti, and this is the stage where it becomes clear to the aspirant a particular mood has evolved. From that time, in a Shakti, there's no more endeavor on the part of the sadhak. The sadhak has reached their limit of endeavor. Throughout the period of our sudden bhajan, two things have been there. The seal means the endeavors of the sadhaka and the kripa of Sri Guru and Bhagavan, particularly Srimati Radhika, because Krishna does not give bhakti. Bhaktya sanjatya bhaktya. Bhakti comes from bhakti, right? So the kripa of Bhakti Devi Srimati Radhika through Guru Parampara and our endeavors. But in a Shakti, at this period, only you can say, Kabe habe bholo she dinamor akka kada karishasi. What is this verse? Kada karishasi amam kripa kataksha bhajanam. You can only pray, when will it come? Because now it is completely dependent on the kripa of Bhakti Shakti. But you should understand that now, because that Abbas is present, the substance casting the shadow, which is the personification of Swarup Shakti, is present, or that shadow couldn't be there. Now, Sudha Sattva Viseshatma Prema Suryanksa Samyava Ruchi Bis Chitta Masranya Kridaso Bhavuchite. Now, when that kripa comes, Swarup Shakti itself descends. And the ruchi that you had, that developed into a mature ruchi in a particular mood, crystallizes in the heart of the jiva. That ruchi bees chitta masranya, it melts the chitta. So that chitta, which was the flat screen TV, for lack of a better word, that reflected your relationship with the external world, is no longer needed. Because at this point, the Atma and Swarup Shakti, being of the same nature and substance, can become taratmik, or one. Understand? So there's no more need of an artificial chitta, which was only put there because the actual substance of the jiva cannot touch the material elements, because the material energy and the jiva of two different compositions. But the jiva and Swarup Shakti are not of two different compositions. The jiva has only been the abhav of Swarup Shakti, but Swarup Shakti is an organic element of Satchit Ananda. And the jivas are Satchit Ananda, so they go together like hand in glove. Better like Narada Muni described in the first canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. When he reached this perfection, he said, Prayujamani Mayitam Sudem Bhagavatim Tanum Parabda Karma Nevano Anyapatat Panchabodhika. That when I reach my perfection, just like lightning and illumination take place simultaneously, prayuj. Prayujamane here means, the acharyas have translated awarded, right? But the word prayuj literally means prakrishtrain yuj, something that is completely and absolutely and inextricably bound together. Srila Baladevi Jabush Prabhu also has commented like this: Swena rupena abhinishpajyate. That the soul, when it realizes its eternal spiritual nature, it becomes one with that nature, taratmik with it, inextricably. So this is the meaning of prayuj. But the word awarded has been used, because I had to research this because I was confused for quite a while, right? It's in the instrumental case as well in Sanskrit. So I was like, prayujamani, so how does it work? So then in Kram Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami, he gives indication of why. He says, because without the kripa of Bhagavan, this relationship doesn't take place. This prayuj could not take place without the kripa of Bhagavan. Without the mercy of Bhakti Shakti, it can't take place. Therefore, awarded is an appropriate translation, because without that mercy, it could never happen. So it is awarded or attained. Right? So once this Swarup Shakti has descended, and the jiva is now illumined in the crystallized realization of their Nitya Swarup, their eternal spiritual identity, which had grown from a seedling at Diksha into a crystallized realization, now are operating on two platforms because the Sadhup Deha is still present. So Rupa Goswami then wrote, he only wrote 2 verses really in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu on the nature of Raganuga Bhakti. One, Krishna Smanam Janam Chasya, the other, Seva Sadika Rupena Siddha Rupena Chatre, Tad Bhava Lipsunakara Raja Lokanusarita. So here he's saying, now you have a Siddha Rup and a Sadhak Rup. So you won't have schizophrenia. This is guaranteed. This has been made so you don't have to think I'll go crazy. So in your Sadhak Rup, you will continue Shravanam Kirtanandani, Vairi Bhakti Sudanti too. You'll continue following everything just as before. But in your dhyan, in your meditation, in your absorption, your Siddha Rup will manifest organically. And in that Siddha Rup, you will have Mantramayu Upasan, and in more developed stage, Swarasiki Upasan. Means, for instance, like the painting of Seva Kunj, right? That painting that's become very famous. Every temple has one now, where Krishna's in Seva Kunj with Radhika. Radhika's doing the pose of Kila Kinchit Bhav, etc. Right? That vision will become clear to you, not like a picture, but with the smells and aroma of the flowers that are there, with the depth of perception of the softness and the lavanya of Krishna's roop and Radhika's roop, with the atmospheric conditions, like you read in Venu Gita when we come there, right? Vanaraji, Kushamita, Sushumi, Bringa, Dvija, Kula, Gushta, etc. So all of that will become to your spiritual sensory perception. As it matures, it will become Swarasiki, means that it will unfold from that position like a photograph, but in a full experience, to actually a lila, where you'll see Krishna approach the kunja and come to beg Radhika's forgiveness because she's doing Durjayaman, etc., right? So these experiences will happen in the Siddha Rup, while in the Sadhak Rup, one is carrying on their regular duties. So there'll obviously be 2 states of consciousness, Antradasha and Bahirdasha, and 1/3 state, which is called Ardbahirdasha. Means sometimes you may be absorbed internally, sometimes in your external dealings, you'll be there doing things, etc. And then sometimes halfway in, halfway out. Understand? This is called Bhav Avas. The symptoms of this Bhav Avas, so you don't have to speculate or mention, like Shantir, Vyaktakala, Tvam Virakti, Manasunyata, you can read these things, right? These are the symptoms that this Bhav has appeared. Understand? Once this Bhav has appeared, this is the height of the experience within the Yatatta Deha. Yatatta Deha means within the Sadhaka Rup. No further expression can come. Upon giving up the Yatatta Deha, means the external body, a Vastu of the Swarup you realize will be then obtained wherever Krishna is performing his Prakat Lila. So wherever Krishna is performing his Lila within the universes, you will take birth in that place, and a Vastu Deha, means a substantive spiritual body, will be one with the Atma. Of course, there's no unfamiliarity because from the time of your Bhavavas, this was you. So now it just becomes Vastu. It becomes substantive. In that substantive body is where now we begin to describe the unfoldment of prema. But before we go there, let me ask, is there any questions before I get carried away? Yeah? So any questions, or maybe something I missed also, because I'm very capable of missing stuff too.
Well, I just have a quick question. When you were describing the transition from Asakti onwards, it seems like you were saying that up until Asakti, it's a combination of Srimati Radharani, your endeavor, and the mercy of the Guru Parampara. But beyond that, it's 100% mercy, and which is why you pray, when will it come? Is that what you were trying to communicate?
Yes, exactly. Because up to the stage of Asakti, I heard from one sadhu, he said at that point, it's like you're in a waiting room, transcendental waiting room. And being in that waiting room, your emotions are going crazy. So it gives rise to all the expressions of Lalasmayi Kirtans. You understand? All the Lasmai kirtans have arisen from this mood of a Sakti, basically. And also kirtans like Ame Jamuna Punile, Kodamba Konone, Kiherinu, Sakyaj have arisen from the realization in Bhavavas. You understand? So in Bhavavas, now having seen, he's giving expression, oh Sakhi, what have I seen on the bank of Jamuna? Prior to that time is Lalasmai. And that Lalasmai may give rise to many kinds of sanchari moods, like moods of disparaging kirtans, Amara Jivan, Sadapaperata, Nahiko Punyaralesh, right? I have nothing, Yogya Tavichare, Kichunai Pai, Tomara Karunasar, right? These kind of bhajans are coming in that aspirational mood. In Siddha mood, so many things are coming. Understand? And that comes from Kripa, because Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhaktya. Bhakti ultimately comes from Bhakti, not from the Jiva.
We have a question here in the chat. Also, the two types of Shraddha given by Guru. Can you please say those again? Does the Guru give them sequentially? And what's the qualification for getting the second one, which is more advanced than the first one?
Repeat the question for me, and Prabhuji, I'm not looking at that, so.
Yeah, it's that. First, can you speak to the two types of Shraddha given by a Guru?
The first is really the Prabhav. So like, I'm giving an example. Srila Prabhupada was like a sane Pati Bhakta. So his influence covered such a wide swath, my wife is correcting me, of human experience, right? So it was a generic type of mercy that you may come in contact with. So that's one influence of the Prabhav of Guru. Then at the time of actually hearing from Guru more, because in the Adosradha phase, it may be that one heard something, but there was some favorability, according to one great sadhu who's there in Raj, Sri Chutalabat. He says that there's favorability to also what is experienced. Then the second phase is hearing with the intent to, like Sanatana Goswami, who am I? Why am I with intent? And when you hear with that intent, then the sadhu can bestow Shraddha as the bij, the mati, which is the discriminating power. This material world is not what's happening. I need something else. And turns your chitta towards serving Bhagavan, which is called Krishna Seva Vasan. So the first kind of Shraddha is simply a sort of concentrated Sukriti file, right? Because it may come even unknowingly. I gave a donation, and then I'm exaggerating here, but 2 weeks later, I find myself eating halava and whatnot and wondering who these people are. You understand? So it can come even from a Gata Sukriti. But Shraddha, which is Anupani Vajam Bhakti Unmukhi Chittiviti Visesh, that is the direct dispensation from the heart of sadhu to that person, even if they're not mature, because their grasping of that Shraddha may come as what's called Komal Shraddha in the very beginning. So they're not like fully convinced, even after hearing from the sadhu with intent that, yes, I should do this. This is my process. Then it may evolve to become a deeper kind of Shraddha. Then a deeper kind of Shraddha. Sri Rupa Goswami Pad, when he was describing those who have Kanishta Majjhima and Uttamadhikar eligibility for the practice of sadhana, pointed out like Sastra Yukti Suni Punya Drita Shraddha Yandra Uttamadhikari Se Tariye Sansar. Those who have Uttamadhikar eligibility for the practice of sadhana are Sastra Yukti Suni Punya. Drita Shraddha Yandra. This Drita Shraddha means fixed faith. What is that faith? Faith in a sadhu. Fixed faith. In the very beginning, it could be pliable. So it's a very delicate stage. So again, let me reiterate that Ado Shraddha is a faith that has come from the generic mercy of the influence of a sadhu, which you may have come in contact with due to previously acquired sukritis. Bhagavad Bhakti Su Sangena Parijayate Dislo, right? The second iteration of this Shraddha is when you have picked up with intent to inquire about your existence beyond this material world and have now come to hear from the sadhu with intent.
I have a question. Haribo Mukunda.
Haribo.
You stated that we, once we come into contact, well, once we realize Aswara, then our chitta disappears. We don't have our chitta anymore, because our chitta is what helps us to get the impressions from the material world. But how can that be the case if our chitta is the consciousness? Am I understanding it?
Yes, very good question, Didi, very good question. So Rupa Goswami Pad answered this by saying that the chitta, as it functioned under the influence of false ego, etc., has been melted away by the ruchi for service to Shri Radha Krishna. The following verses after the verse, Sudha Sattva Viseshatma explained this clearly. Avir bhuya manovrito prajayate swarupatam, right? Swayam prakasha rupopi basamana prakashavat. Avir bhuya manovrito. The Swarup Shakti descends onto the chitta and takes over all the functions of the chitta and become one with it. So that chitta, which was formerly the flat screen TV of your relationship vicariously with Maya, has been melted away. The functions of the consciousness have now been taken over by Swarup Shakti and become one with it, taratmik with it. You understand?
Okay.
So this is the meaning. Masrinya means melting. So that has melted away, but what's happened is that now there's no in between you and Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti takes over your chitta. Swayam Prakasha Rupopi Basamana Prakashabhat. It appears like it came from you, Basamana Prakashabhat, but actually it is Swayam Prakash of Swarup Shakti. This will become important later on as we get to describing what is Anurag. Hopefully we're going to get to that today. What is Anurag? Right? What is this verse now? Avibhuya Manovrito, right? Vrajayate Sarupatam, etc. This verse, Rupa Goswami is going to reference in Ujjwalini Mani when he describes Anurag. So it's so important to get the concept of Swayam Prakash and Vastuta Swayamashwadya Sarupatam Ratistu Aso. Krishnari Kamakakshwada Hetutam Pratipajate. The second half of that verse says, this Swarup Shakti is not only Swayam Prakash, self-revealing, but it is Swayam Ashwadya. It itself is the taste. So it is the self-manifesting, self-tasting element, which then creates the taste of the jiva and the realization of the jiva of Krishna, and Krishna's tasting the service of that jiva. Hetutam pratipajate. Krishnari kamakakshwada. The jiva realizes Krishna and all of his lila, this, and that, from the influence of this Swarup Shakti, which has taken over the vrittis of the chitta.
Understand. Thank you. That's very clear. Okay, so the Swarup Shakti takes over the chitta.
It takes over the chitta.
Okay.
I'm praying for that. Pray for me for that too.
Oh yes, me too.
Somebody else wrote, I saw it pop up in the chat.
Yeah, there are a few more questions there.
Okay.
Would you like to take them now?
Yeah, better to clear before moving forward.
Yes. We have one here. You mentioned Anarjana Vritti doesn't happen by our own endeavor. It's due to the internal energy, Swarup Shakti, that manifests from the words of Guru. So why does that Shakti vary for everyone? Some advance that stage more quickly than others.
Yeah, I mentioned that sometimes what happens is everybody's not practicing in the same way. If your practice has any obfuscating elements in it, then the pure flow of Swarup Shakti is hitting these obfuscating elements, and you're not getting the full reciprocation from Nam, Harikatha, Vaishnav, Thakurji Seva, etc. That full flow of that Swarup Shakti is being obfuscated by many things. So we're all a combination of two things in the aspirant stage. One is our karmic sanskars, means our material karma, and whatever has been produced by that, right? And that 4 stages, Kut, Bij, Parabda, Aparabda, right? We're going through that unfoldment. Same time, Praktanaka Aduniki Chasti Yasyat Bhakti Vasana. We are also the combination of whatever Bhakti samskars we previously had. So once we come into any particular iteration, we're dealing with those two phenomena, and everybody is an individual. You understand? So everybody's karmic portfolio and Bhakti samskars are working in a unique kind of DNA for that individual to produce rapidness or slowness of advancement. And the key thing here is because what produces Aduniki samskars means current samskars is desire. So our desire has to be nourished in such a way that it produces Adunik samskars, which are then put on the foundation of the Praktan samskars, previous samskars, and helps to build an infrastructure that blocks out sort of the karmic samskars that have been there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was doing Rupa Siksha and he was explaining Bhakti, he mentioned that as the Bhakti Lata is growing, right, we have to surround it with a fence and we have to pluck out the weeds, right? So he was describing all of this to show that the nature of your advancement comes by your attentiveness to the bhajan process. Malikana se bija ropan shravanam kirtane jale koriye shikon, right? That we should water the Bhakti Lata by hearing and chanting, but we have to protect it, especially from Hatimata, Aparata, Vaishnav, etc., etc. You understand? So if we allow the flow of Swarup Shakti to become very open, then Swarup Shakti itself comes and subsidizes our bhajan. I can't remember the shloka offhand, but it's maybe 140 Anuched in Bhakti Sundarbha, where it says that Bhagavan himself is subsidizing through Sri Guru even your bhajan sadhan. Because Ataha Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhavad Grayam Indriya. Grayam Indriya can't serve Bhagavan. So where's the ability to serve Bhagavan coming from? It is the subsidy of Guru Kripa within your senses. You understand? So if you block that flow, that amount of materialism is still present in your sadhana bhajan. That's why there's that statement that in sadhana, as long as we have not reached purity yet, there's 91 different varieties of the modes of nature present in the aspirant's practice. Yeah. Because there's 9 types of devotion, 3 modes of material nature, and when they interact with each other, 9 times 9, right, becomes 81. 81 different varieties. So everybody, according to their individual karmic DNA and their bhakti samskars, are unfolding differently. But desire, right, can help to unclog whatever's clogged, and that will make your advancement quicken.
Okay. We have a couple more set. Can Koma Shraddha be destroyed?
What to speak of Koma Shraddha, Paramatik Shraddha can be destroyed by Vaishnav Aparad. Vaishnav Aparad can destroy even Bhav. Not destroy, it can check Bhav. You understand? It can actually check Bhav. Because we'd be up against the theological thing, right? That whatever you do is permanent. But Aparad can check it in such a way it doesn't fructify. Understand? So Komal Shraddha or Paramatik Shraddha, highest kind of Shraddha, can be destroyed by Aparad. Komal Shraddha can also be overrun by material samskars, right? Continual material impressions that are not being dealt with by sadhan bhajan can overrun your kripa. You understand? But whatever is gained in that Komal Shraddha is not lost. Don't fear for this, right? Whatever you do, that is permanent as long as Aparad is not brought about.
Nice. Last one here. Regarding the chitta point, is it a bit like iron and fire example that Srila Prabhupada used?
Yes, because the aspirant, if fire is being compared to Swarup Shakti, and the iron is being compared to the Bada Jiva and their karmic portfolios, et cetera, that's placed in the fire, then the complete nature of that iron is being transformed. And at a certain point, certain temperature, certain time period, it becomes essentially one with fire. Understand? As long as the yatata deha means the body is there, still a person can see there's an iron in fire. But at a certain point, when it is completely melted and it is liquefied, right? And then it becomes one boiling mass of fire. At that point, it's just fire, right?
This a last question just came up, which is kind of
Okay.
funny. What is the percentage of aspiring devotees who achieve this self-realization?
Only we can say that what our acharyas have said is sudurlabh, it's rare. But then when you think there's, I don't know how many billion people in the world, but you're on this conference. So don't worry, you're right?
Thank you for that helpful statement. Okay, those are all the questions for Ruth. You can
Okay.
continue.
So now we had left off in Bhavabhas and then obtaining Vastu or Prem Deha, right? Bhav Deha, Prem Deha, composed of the Vastu of Swarup Shakti, Sandhini, Samvitaladini, right? In anywhere Krishna's performing his Prakat Lila. In that Vastu city, there is still development to be done. There is, and Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami wrote about this in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. There are two kinds of liberation, which are not just like Salokya, Samipya, Sarshti, Samipya, etc. So one is called Shukya Aishwarya Shukya Aishwarya Uttara. It means having obtained Shuk, great happiness, due to being in the position of being liberated and being a servant of Narayan. One tasting that happiness, right, is not 100% without personal desire. There's no material desire. All desires are related to Narayan, but there is a happiness experience from having obtained that. In Braj, Prem Seva Uttara is another feature of that same thing. An example, the Rishichari Gopis, when they obtained their siddhi, right? On the night of the Ras, when Krishna called for Ras, they were checked by their husbands, fathers, brothers, etc. Why? Because they did not have sufficient association with Nityasiddha Gopis. Therefore, they still had Prem Seva Uttara Sukh. It means they tasted the happiness of their perfection. You understand? Because that was present, Yogamaya did not make duplicates of those gopis, and therefore their husbands checked them. For those gopis who even were Sadhana Siddha, what to speak of Nitya Siddha, who have duplicate bodies, which means their husbands don't even know they're gone, right? Then they were able to freely go to Ras. Those who were checked, they dusraha tivra tapta dushta shubhada Dhyanya prapta chutta shlesha nivritta shina mangali. They gave up this last vestige. Jahur gunamayi deha, they gave up this last vestige of the happiness that's derived from, I made it, I've arrived, I'm in Raj. Hey Lalita, hey Visakha. You understand? So that last vestige of the happiness born from I've arrived, so to speak, right? That was burnt up by the separation of, after experiencing Purva Raga, hearing the flute and not being able to go. So all inauspiciousness, Dushta Shubha, was thrown away. Dhyanya Prapta Chutta Shlesha, they embraced Paramatma Jara Buddhapi Sangata. They embraced the Paramatma, but that Paramatma was Krishna himself, not Janardhan with 4 arms. Shri Krishna himself appeared in their heart due to their deep separation mood. They embraced that form. So here in the verse, Jara Api Buddhi Sangata. No, Paramatma Yapi Jara Buddhi Sangata. So Jara Buddhi means Parama mood. So you can't embrace Lord Narayan in Parama mood. So here there's an indication that not super soul as Janardhan appeared there, because in the spiritual world, no Antaryami is there as four-armed Narayan. But Krishna himself, which is the purport here, appeared in their hearts in Dhyanya Prapta Chuta Shlesh. They obtained the embrace of Krishna. From that, Nivritta Shina Mangali, all of their so-called auspicious happiness coming from having obtained perfection was all done away with. And they obtained the true transcendental bliss of actually anurag in association with Krishna. So they later obtained, let me re-speak that. Hold on one second, Mukunda, calm down. They obtained, it says, Ras, either in Nitya Golok, which is why I'm saying they would have attained anurag, or on a later night, because the Ras went on for one day of Brahma, one night of Brahma, or day of Brahma, right? They obtained the Ras either on a later day, a later period of that Ras and Sarat Ras Lila, or they went exactly to Nitya Golok Dham, which would mean their maturation of their bhavs up to anurag would have taken place. So when we take birth in Nitya Dham, there's the importance of the association of the Nitya Siddha Gopis. Under the anugatya of Nitya Siddha Gopis, then the prem within the heart goes through evolutions from prem to sneha. This sneha divides into two divisions. One division is called Grita Sneha, one is called Madhu Sneha. So what we're doing here is setting the template, because once all of these things are understood, immediately when you read Venu Gita, Gita Govinda, you read any sastra, that template then comes to mind because you understand the dynamics of how prem is functioning, right? It's very helpful. So that sneha takes two different terms, Grita Sneha and Madhu Sneha. Grita Sneha means that affection, which is like ghee. And it's described that prem, so it says, Aruya Paramakashta Chit Deepa Deepana. That what's happening is that when prem examines itself, Chit Deepa Deepana, it is like a lamp illuminating another lamp. So if you had a lamp and you put another lamp next to it, it would double the illumination. So prem, as I mentioned, this is why that verse about prem being self-revealing and self-tasting is important. Prem tasting itself becomes illumined by itself and increases the mood in the heart of the devotee, melting it further, right? And that becomes sneha. That sneha becomes Grita Sneha and Madhu Sneha. Grita Sneha means like ghee. Ghee is very tasteful. If we could always use ghee in our preparations, great. But one quality of ghee is its taste is enhanced in association with other substances. Now you could also say, no, I just love to drink bottles of ghee. Well, that's a subjective experience. But by our acharyas, their description is that ghee is best enhanced in connection with other substances. In the sabji, I remember I was preaching in Africa, in Gujarati community, sometimes at the very end they serve rice, and they serve that rice by putting ghee right on top of the rice at the end of the whole meal, right? So in connection with other substances, ghee becomes very relishable. On the other hand, madhu, honey, is relishable even without contact with something else. In contact with something, it's very nice. Even if it doesn't have contact with anything, it is also still relishable. So Grita Sneha enters into the mood and into the heart of Chandravali and Party. Madhu Sneha enters into the heart of Radhika and Party. Understand? Proportionately to the amount of Grita Sneha and Madhu Sneha, two other paksh develop, like Bhadra. Bhadra will have a predominance of Grita Sneha and some Madhu Sneha. Shaima Sakhi will have a more predominance of Grita Sneha, but some, of Madhu Sneha, but some Grita Sneha is there. In Chandravali, Grita Sneha is prominent, in Radhika, Madhu Sneha is prominent. Understand? So this accounts for the paksh. The swapaksh of Radhika, Grita Sneha. Those with Shama Sakhi, some prominence of Madhu Sneha with Grita Sneha. Those who are, and Shama Sakhi is Surit Paksh to Radhika, friendly to Radhika. Bhadra is Tatashta Paksh, means she's neutral to Radhika. She has a predominance of Grita Sneha with some Madhu Sneha, and she's suited to Chandravali. So anyways, if you understand this, this is how this Sneha also creates the variations of the Paksh of different gopis. Any question on that? So the 4 categories of gopis, according to the balance of Grita and Madhu Sneha, which then when it produces Rag, will also produce Nilima Rag, Ratima Rag, and it will break down in a similar way. Okay, any clarity for here?
You can just repeat the 4 categories of gopis that are the image of each of the balance of these
Yes.
different sneha.
So I'll go through the different groups. So like in the group of Chandravali, her cohorts, so to speak, are Padma and Saibya. Their mood is dominated by Grita Sneha and Nilima Rag, right? So because Rag means, I'll get to explain what Rag is, but anyway, it's dominated by that. Bhadra is friendly towards Chandravali, and she has a neutral disposition towards Radhika. Really, the words neutral don't encapsulate the spiritual content, because we consider in the material neutrality means like I'm indifferent, right? So it doesn't quite mean that. So but we only have these words to use, right? So Bhadra has some Madhu Sneha, but a predominance of Grita Sneha. Shaima Sakhi, she's neutral to Chandravali's party because their mood is a certain way and she doesn't completely resonate with that mood, just as Bhadra doesn't completely resonate with the mood of Radhika. Shaima Sakhi has a dominance of resonating with the mood of Radhika, but she has also some Grita Sneha. Radhika, Lalita and Visakha, who are her part of her Paramaprastha Sakhis, they have the mood of Madhu Sneha. And they have Madhya Bhav, which comes from Madhu Sneha, and Chandravali's party has Tadya Bhav. So Tadya Bhav means Chandravali considers, I belong to Krishna. I am his. Radhika's group says Krishna is mine. I'm in control. He's mine. So from the different kinds of sneha, different kinds of mood towards Krishna arise. Understand? So this creates different kinds of mentalities in different gopis who tend to associate with each other. Like minds hang out together. You understand? So Radhika and Chandravali, they have an apparent rivalry. Of course, Radhika herself, because she's a group leader, and Chandravali, because she's a group leader, and even the others who are group leader have a tendency towards affiliation with one of those two. Radhika and Chandravali never directly manifest earshot or jealousy towards each other. You understand? They don't argue. You'll never see them in the street, taking off their earrings and stuff. I'm getting this point, right? No, but their Sakhis will argue. You understand? Lalita will be very harsh to speak at Padma and Saibya. They're like cheaters. I'm giving only one quick example. Radhika once made a garland for Krishna, Vaijayanti garland, handpicked all the flowers. Each flower had a different meditation of Radhika. So it was full of Radhika praying. When Krishna got to the rendezvous of the Kunj where they met, Radhika placed this garland on Krishna's neck. Krishna told during the course of coming to meet her, he had to go a back road in which he became very muddy. So he says, this garland is so beautiful, I don't want to sully it. So he said, first I will go and take bath in the Jamuna. And Radhika insisted, you must take this garland with you. So Krishna put the garland on and he was only holding it and smelling it, touching to his head, everything. Then when Krishna went to bathe in the Jamuna, he put the garland on one branch. While he was bathing, Padma passed by. Padma said, oh, Krishna is so thoughtful. He's made this garland for my Sakhi. And having made this garland for my Sakhi, he's now preparing himself to come. But we'll surprise him. We'll take the garland and give it to Sakhi. So when he arrives, he can see her decorated with this garland. So Padma took the garland, gave to Chandravali. That time, Rupa Manjari was roaming. And roaming, she saw that Padma was now giving this garland made by Radhika to Chandravali, beeline back to Nikunj to tell Radhika. Radhika immediately had Durjayaman, means very tough, I don't want to see him. She took even her braid that was hanging over her shoulders and flipped it backwards because it reminded her of the darkness of Krishna's arm. That time, Lalita became very haughty. So she went with Rup Manjari, and passing the area where Padma Saibya and Chandravali was, she said, oh, how wonderful it is that some people can enjoy secondhand things, right? My Saki only enjoys that which is first class. But if you enjoy the prasad of my Saki, that is very good for you. Understand? So Padma and Saibya, they didn't think, what is she talking about? This girl is so nonsense. She's so envious of us, so forth. So then they're saying, oh, she's just envious because Krishna's made this garland for our Saki. You understand? So like this, I'm just giving an example how they go back and forth with each other. Of course, later on, Krishna comes out of Jamuna, can't find the God. That's a whole unformed, whole Leela. Can't tell Leela, we'll get lost in the subject here. So now this kind of mood, Madhya Bhav, Tadya Bhav, evolves from Gritta Sneha. It also produces Rag. So what is Rag? Dukkam adikam chitte, shukatvaina eva rajayate. When even though there's the presence of suffering, right? Like example, when Krishna will go for Gocharan, means taking the cows out for grazing. At that time, the gopis find any means to get away from their home. We have to leave for Surya Puja. We have to go and collect dung for making cooking utensils. Or we have to go to collect anything for this vegetable, that thing. Getting out of their homes, they'll run, right? Even during midday or when the sun is very blazing, they will run to the hill of Govardhan, standing on very sharp stones, just to get a glimpse of Krishna when he's passing, taking the cows. So ordinarily, this should cause extreme pain. Dukkha adikam chitte, but shukha tvaina eva rajayate. That dukh becomes rajayate, means completely dominated and covered by sukh, because there's the possibility we may see Krishna. This is called rag. This is the definition of the word rag. That rag, because of the nature of the sneha that it's born from, takes on two qualities. Nilima rag, right? And Rupa Goswami here has used different kinds of dyes to express this situation. So Nilima rag means a dark blue kind of dye, right? Nilima rag. This Nilima rag has two divisions, Nili rag and Shama rag. So just like the sneha has been divided among those different paksha of gopis, rag also becomes divided among them. And the reason this is important is because from rag, the various ways that they deal with Krishna are also manifested in terms of when they become angry or have man. So this Nili rag is prominent in Chandravali. Here's an example. If Krishna will be sitting with Chandravali and he does Gotra Skalana. Gotra Skalana means he's glorifying Chandravali. But he says, oh, Chandravali, your eyes are like the stars, like the constellation Anuradha. You understand? So Chandravali hearing Radha, what is he talking? This guy. You understand? But Chandravali's reaction will be to smile. Yes, she's upset, but she'll smile because this Nili rag, this dark colored indigo rag, covers her mood completely. You understand? It does not become transparent, right? And this, so I can't, because it's a very long description, I can't go into how the different dyes have different effects and how easily they fade away, how thick they are, etc. So in her Nili rag, she will just sit and smile. But if Krishna then will try to hold her hand, she'll pull her hand away slowly and won't allow him to hold her hand. So this is a kind of, I don't know, very subtle passive aggressive type, like torturous mood, because Krishna can't understand what's going on, right? Similarly, in Bhadra, there is a predominance of this kind of rag, but it is called Shaima rag, because it has affiliation with this kind of Nilima rag, this dark indigo color. In Shaima Saki, the rag is called Kusumba rag, and Radhika, they come under the category called Raktima, which is reddish color. So this Kusumba Rag is the Rag of Shamasaki, and the Rag of Radhika and her party is called Manjista Rag. Manjista Rag gives rise, it's very quick to become attached to something, but also the color fades easily, which means that it quickly reveals moods of opposition. So for instance, when Krishna comes to Radhika and he tells, same Gotra Skalana, listen Radhika, your eyes are like the rays of the moon, Chandravali, because Avali means rays, Chandra of the moon. Radhika says, oh, is that so? Then perhaps you should take yourself and you should go to that place where you can have the full moonshine. You understand? Why should you settle only from the eyes? Take the whole roop of the moon. There's a Chandravali there, go take the whole thing. You understand? So Radhika's mood is very different. Immediately she'll chastise Krishna because that attachment, not the attachment's fading, the covering fades away very quickly. And Radhika will be very quick to chastise, but Krishna loves it, right? Priya Marayan Kori Tandre Botsan, Vedastute Hoite Harte Harishay Moraman. Krishna so much loves it that even if millions of Brahmins are reciting Purusha Shukta, Krishna would run from there in order to hear the chastisement of the gopis. Understand? So Radhika's moved because she has Madhya Bhav, you belong to me. This idea that you can say something which is inappropriate won't go unchastised. Chandravali also wants to chastise, but she has Tadiya, I belong to Krishna. So she has a mood which is more called like subservient. Radhika has a mood of I am dominant. You understand? So there are various rags produce reactions in Man to Krishna that are different. Obviously, this is called Udatta Man and Lalit Man. Udatta Man is the man expressed by Chandravali and Party. Lalit Man is what's expressed by Radhika. And it's full of Lalit. Lalit means like beauty, because her praying takes such wonderful twists and turns. Man means Ahi Premana Goti Swabhava Kutila Bhavet. Hetu Hetuscha Yuna Manam Udanchati. Man means when the love becomes crooked like the movements of a snake. So it may be hetu or ahetu. It may have a cause or not have a cause. But when Radhika expresses her man, it has these kind of qualities. And Krishna, to break the man of Radhika, he has to become so chaturi. Chaturi means very intelligent. Because if she has Durjaya man, it's not easy to break. Like in Gita Govinda, he comes to a point of what is called nati. Nati means to beg. So the Seva Kunj painting is an expression of that. That he's come to Radhika and says, listen, what can I do? I tried all the other methods. Done means to give a gift. Beg, to put one saki against another. Done, beg. Upeksha, I've tried to just ignore this. Rasantara, I've tried to change the subject. Now only I can beg you. So there you give rise to, like in Gita Govinda, Smarla Karna Gandamam, Mama Sirasi Mandanam, Dehi Padapala Vamudharam, Priye Charusile, Munchamai Manam, Anidanam. Oh, Radhike, please, if you will just, I'm not asking for your Sangha completely, but if you will only show me your teeth, because I've been burning, Smaragalana Kandanam, Mama Sirasi Mandanam. I have been burning in the fire of your separation because of your man. Mama Sirasi Mandanam, Dehi Pada Palavamudharam, I'm willing to place my feet at your head. When you place the feet at someone's head, like Bali Maharaj offered complete surrender by saying, put your third step on my head. Krishna is saying, oh, please, into Swadina Bhatrika Naikamu, completely controlling me. I'm offering my everything to you, putting my head at your feet. You understand? With the head also comes the Vamsi, which is the cause of many problems. So in the Sevakunj painting, you see that Krishna's Vamsi is also laid down there. He's offering everything. Give me 1 second. So in this way, he's doing nati, completely offering surrender. At that time, Radhika's mind is being broken because she's expressing Kila Kinchit Bhav. Kila Kinchit Bhav means Gava Abhilasa Rudita, Asu Yasmita, Krodha Bhaya, Sankari Karanam Harshad, Uchatam Kila Kinchitam. So when Radhika has these 7 moods mixed together, Gava, pride, Gava, pride, Rudita, she's crying, Asuya, kind of like envious mood, Asuya, Asmita, but she's smiling at the same time, Krodha, she's angry and she's fearful, Shankari Harsham, she's shrinking away from Krishna and putting her hand up like, don't touch me, stay away from me. But Harshad, she's full of jubilation. This is called Kila Kinchit Bhav. Krishna, his entire world is based around seeing this mood in Radhika. You understand? So like this, her Lalit Man causes Krishna to perform extreme means of being able to break that man, which leads to the sweetness of seeing these kinds of things. So then from this rag comes anurag. So rag means an intensity around praying. When praying observes itself in this way, then following that comes anurag. Anu means to follow. So following the depth of rag comes anurag. Give me 1 second again. So this anurag has been described. This is extremely important. So maybe we should take a deep breath here. Anurag is the sthai bhav of Madhurya Rasa. Madhurya Rati is described as the sthai bhav. But in the 36th chapter of Jaiva Dharma, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned that Madhurya Rati, when it comes to the stage of anurag, is the actual sthai bhav, because it is anurag that will turn into mahabhav. Understand? It is anurag that will transform into mahabhav. So this anurag has been described. Anuraga swasambeja dasya prapya prakashita yavat ashraya vrittis chet. So swasambeja dasya, when love becomes its own experience. Remember all the way back to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse, Swayam Prakash. When love becomes its own experience, being Swayam Prakash and Swayam Swadya, it is called Swa Samveja Dasya. At that point, the lover and the beloved come under the control of the love. You understand this? So now, like Ramananda Roy's Kavya in Ramananda Samvad, Pahili Raga Nayana Bangavela, Aduninam, Avari Badhala Nagela, Naham Ramana Naso Ramani, Manobhav Dui, Manobhava Peshali Jani. Right? This is the beginning of his poem in one of his Natakas, right? Ramananda Roy. He writes that now Rag or love, it has become day after day growing to a point where it's unlimited. Now that love has produced a situation, Naham Ramana Naso Ramani. Naso Ramana Naham Ramani. You are not the beloved and I am not, you are not the lover and I'm not the beloved. Manobhav, that love, Manobhava Peshali Jani, has taken us and pushed us together. You understand? So love now has completely taken control. So it means that both Radha and Krishna, they become submitted to love itself. They don't express only love for each other. The love has taken them over. Because the love has taken them over, the internal symptoms of their astasattvic vikar can no longer be hidden. Prapya prakashita, rather it becomes prakashita, means it manifests. It attains a state in which it manifests, up to the stage of udipta or sudipta. In other words, the 8 Astasattvic Vikar, Vaivarna, choking of the voice, standing of the hair, shedding tears, except becoming stunned, they have different degrees from Dhyumite, Jwali, Dipta, Udipta, Sudipta, right, in intensity. So it's come to Udipta that these transcendental symptoms now manifest on the body without their control. Understand? And when that happens, Asraya, what is this? Asraya Vritti, Yavat Asraya Vritti. Yavat Asraya Vritti means any person, sadhaka or siddha, means nitya siddha, sadhana siddha, or sadhaka, who comes into the purview of that emotional content, asana janata rit valodanam, their hearts become churned. In other words, they have the vicarious experience of what's going on in the heart of the Asraya Jatya. So for instance, Rupa Manjari, in the first verse of Vilap Kushmanjali, Rati Manjari questions Rup Manjari. Oh, Rup Manjari, you are known in this town to be most chaste. No other man, Pumsam Vadana Nahi Pashati, has ever even seen your face. Because you know in Braj ladies wear their dopata covering. No one's ever, but I'm noticing one thing. You have a bite, Chatam Bimba Adre. On your Bimba-like lips, there's a bite there. So I'm just wondering, because Anagatta Bhatrakaya, your husband's been gone. He went with other husbands, Abhimanyu and others, to purchase cows. My question is, how this bite came on your lip? Oh, maybe perhaps any wild parrot has come and landed and just bit you on the lip. Maybe it's like this. So, Rupa Manjari cannot answer being overwhelmed, because remembering how this happened, her memory is lost. Remembering the status of Radha and Krishna and Nikunj Leela, her memory is lost. So now we want to go from the reference of Rati Manjari asking Rupa Manjari about this to Vidagdha Madhava, where Kundalata is walking with Radhika. And walking with Radhika, she says, oh, Radhika, you are similarly known as such a chaste woman in this Braj. Among all the women in this Braj, your chastity has been even tested and you've proven. But I only have one question. I see that there's some prem china, dharan, means like marks of love on your body. But your husband is not present. I'm only inquiring how possibly this could have happened. So then Radhika, she becomes very shy, and she also, Atmani Vishmaranam. Atmani Vishmaranam means that in Ujjani Lamani, it's mentioned. Sometimes, what is it? Sometimes it can come that without fainting, the nature of praying will produce a situation in which there is Atma Vismaranam, complete forgetfulness of one's own self. So Radhika entered that when she heard Kundalata speak about the marks on her body, the love marks on her body. At that time, Lalita jumped in and said, oh, you silly girl, because you associate with Krishna so much, you think everybody is like him. My Saki was picking flowers. And while she was picking flowers, any crazy bird tried to attack her, and she became scratched by the sharp edges of the flowers. Her body is so soft, she became scratched by, and that bird tried to also peck her. So get all of these lusty things out of your mind. It's from your association with Krishna, you're thinking like this. But truly, these marks came from the Samprayog of Radha and Krishna. Truly, they came from that. But Radhika, she's having Atma Vismaranam because during the time of their Samprayog, Swasambeja Dasha, love is taken over, and Radhika cannot remember what happened, what didn't happen. You understand? This is the play of love. When we begin to read Venu Gita, you'll see that even in their Purva Raga, such things happen also. What to speak of later on, like getting to actual Gopi Gita, they'll express these things. In Brahmar Gita, in the Chitra Jalpa, in Adirud Mahabhav, so many of these things will come out. Right? So this is the nature of Anurag. That Anurag transforms into Mahabhav. This Mahabhav has two stages. Rud, Adi Rud. Rud Mahabhav means when Nimesha Shana Shaktava Asanata Rit Valodanam, Asana Janata Rit Valodanam, right? When the nature of that bhav comes to a point where even 1 minute passing without connection with Krishna becomes troublesome, and the mind is completely afflicted by how they can obtain association of Krishna. Not 1 minute should be wasted in any other endeavor except how to obtain his association. Asana Janatarit Velodanam is referring to Yavarashraya Vritti. That mood enters the hearts of others who have relationship to Radhika and to gopis, etc. Also, Shana Kalpata. Shana Kalpata means, like in Gopi Geet, one expression is there. Atatite bhavam anikananam tritayugayate tvam apashatam. Kuntila kuntalam Sri Mukam Chate Ude Jarudeinam Pakshma Kridrisam. Gopis are saying, oh Krishna, when you go for Gocharan, even 1 minute seems like an entire kalpa has passed. Even 1 minute seems like an entire kalpa has passed if we don't see your face with your beautiful earrings swinging to and fro. And even when we do begin to see you, when you return from Gocharan, this foolish person, Lord Brahma, you put him in charge to make the secondary creation. He made bodies where the eyelids blink. Please, if you can give us the permission, Pakshma Kritrisam, we can cut these eyelids off so our seeing you will not be disturbed. So this is an expression of Kalpa Shanata, the mood that even a second passing is like a whole Kalpa past. Kinam Tatsuke Api Atri Sankaya. Ujjali Mani says, another symptom of this Ruda Mahabhav is that even when Krishna is enjoying himself, the fear that he's displeased comes about. Kina means he's in distress. Kina, Tatsuke, though he's enjoying himself. Api Tatsuke, although he's enjoying himself, Atri Sankaya, a doubt comes. In Gopi Gita, the last verse expresses this. What is this verse? Wait. So Sujata Charanam Burunam Staneshu Pita Sanaidati Mahi Karakaseshu Tenatavim Atasi Vyatadena Kim Swit Kuparibi Brahmatidi Bhavamayu Samnaha. The gopis are saying, Krishna, listen, because we've been searching for you, you've been going into the depth of the forest and you're stepping on sharp thorns and stones. Our hearts are so hard that even though you wanted to place your lotus feet on our heart, we feel that they're so hard that you would suffer more distress than you would gain pleasure. This is some and substance of this verse. It's called Vasikrita verse, because after this verse, Krishna reappears before the gopis, right? So this mood is part of Ruda Mahabhav. You understand? So this is how love is evolving. Next comes Adi Rud. In Adi Rud comes Divyanmad and Udgirna. So Udgirna means Radhika may see that any jasmine vine has taken shelter of a dark-colored tree. And she thinks, yes, I should also do this. And she embraces a tamal tree. Or from Divyanmad will come Chitra Jalpa. So all of Brahmar Geet, this is called Chitra Jalpa. Marupati Kaitava, Bandhu, Mas Prasangri, Sapatnya. Oh, you friend of a bee, don't you touch my... So if you read all, it goes through 10 types of Chitra Jalpa. Vijalpa, Jalpa, Prajalpa, etc. All different moods of mad talks. This comes in Adi Rud Mahabhav. This Adi Rud has two transformations, Modan and Mohan. This Modan Bhav only exists in the party of Radhika, does not exist in the party of Chandravali. So if we're reading any Grantha where expressions of Modan Bhav are present, you should know it's only in the party of Radhika. So Modan Bhav is whenever these deep symptoms are taking place and they have meeting. When that Modan gives the spurti of being separated. It turns to Mohan. In Radhika alone, there is called Madan Bhav. This Madan Bhav has been described, Sava Bhavad, Gava Umala, Sava Bhavad, Gama Ulasi, Madano Paratparam, Rajate Ladini Saro, Radhaya Eva Sudha. Only in Srimati Radhika this Madan Bhav exists. It doesn't even exist in Lalita Visakha. Sava Bhavad, Gamalasi. That all of the bhavs beginning from praying are always manifest in the Madan Bhav of Radhika. She can take each separate element all the way that I described and experience any one of them at any given time with the intensity of her Madan Bhav. Also, Yoga Esha Bhaveresha Vichitri Kopi Madanaha Rajavilas Virajante Nitya Lila Sahasrada. This Madan Bhav only exists in Braj. Its expression is only there in Braj. And it is the highest form of any kind of bhav. And it only takes place yoga eva bhavedesha, when they're meeting. So here's the uniqueness of Radhika's bhav. And I think we probably should take questions after this and call it, because we've hit the pinnacle here. And then from tomorrow, we should start the verses of Venu. But here it says, yoga eva bhavedesha. This Madan Bhav only takes place when Radha and Krishna are meeting. So now a big question comes. What happens then when they're separated? Does Radhika not have Madan Bhav? That would have to be the question. But here a secret is given. Vrajavilasa Virajante, Nitya Lila Sahasrada. Radhika has the capacity that no one else has. What capacity? She experiences Krishna's association, Nitya Lila Sahasrada, in unlimited prakosh. So prakosh means like a chamber. Krishna's Leelas has so many different chambers. Example of this is when Nard came to Dwarka. Narada went from one palace of Krishna to another, 16,108. So was Narada amazed that Krishna could afford 16,000 palaces? No. Was Narada amazed that Krishna had 16,000 expansions? No. Narada was amazed because they were not 16,108 palaces. They were 16,108 separate chambers of Leela, separate prakosh. So in one, he was doing his Gayatri. In one, he was playing with his children. In one, he was taking dinner. They were not separate palaces. They were separate chambers of the Leela. This is a unique thing only Krishna can do. But Radhika's uniqueness is that she can enter each chamber along with him. Therefore, Radhika is directly sitting on the lap of Krishna. And sitting, this is a little different from Prem Vaititya, right? It's a Prem Vaititya on steroids, right? For lack of a better word. So here in this Nitya Lila Sahasra, Radhika is sitting on the lap of Krishna. And Krishna is speaking with her very nicely. And Radhika becomes so absorbed in Krishna that she closes her eyes to meditate on his beauty. When she closes her eyes, her sense of vision, sense of sight, takes over all the other senses. She can no longer hear Krishna. She cannot smell his surabhagandha, his aroma, and she thinks Krishna has left me. She enters into another prakosh in which they are separate, though they're together, but it's not like Prem Vaititya. In the other prakosh, Radhika sees that Krishna is now sporting with Padma and Saibya, who are dragging him to the Kunja of Chandravali. While she's sitting on the lap of Krishna, she starts to rebuke him. Oh, you would leave me for a Sakhi like Chandravali. Oh, therefore you don't have any good sense. And this way she goes on abusing him. Krishna's shocked. Wait a minute. Only 2 seconds ago, we were sitting together very sweetly. And actually, I had offered my cheek to receive your wonderful kiss. What happened? Suddenly you started abusing me? It's because when she entered another prakosh, she was experiencing Krishna being separated and associating with Chandravali. This mood of Madanakya Mahabhav only exists in the heart of Radhika. Krishna himself can't understand it. Therefore, Krishna says, Shri Radha Pranaya Mahima Kidra Sovaneva. What is the nature and Mahima of her pranaya, of her love? I cannot understand it. She tastes my Chattu Madhuri in such a way that I can't understand. And the Sokya, happiness she experiences from that is amazing. I can't also digest it. Therefore, Purva Vrajvilasi 18 Abhilas. I'm left with 3 desires to taste these moods of Radhika. Give me 1 second because I'm running out of battery. I'm gonna have to ask my wife to get my cord and plug in. So I guess it's divinity because my battery ran all the way down to 9. We're gonna plug in. We'll probably be able to take a few questions. And then of course, tomorrow we'll start with Iti Surat Sachajalam, Padmakara Sugandhinam, the verses of Venu Gita. But any questions? So we've described from Shraddha to Maranakya Mahabhav. Hold on, sweet.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
What's your view?
Hare Krishna Mukunda Prabhu.
Haribol, and the Prabhu.
I just had the one question. You were mentioning about Chandravali. She has this predominance of feeling as Tadiya, that she belongs to Krishna. And then you mentioned Radhika doesn't. Is it that she has none of that sense, that there's none of that sense of Tadiya? Like she always feels like Krishna is her possession? Or is it just less prominent?
No. She has completely Madhya Bhav. Madhya Bhav means Krishna is mine. One prominent feature of this Madhya Bhav is expressed. Radhika has 8 moods. One mood is called Swadhina Bhatrika Nayika. Swadhina Bhatrika Nayika means when Krishna comes completely Swadhin, under the control of Radhika. Krishna at that time takes the mood of Anukul Dira Lalita Nayika. Like when we see Krishna on the altar standing in Tribhanga, this is the pose of an Anukul Dira Lalita Nayika. That's why we worship that particular form. Understand?
Yeah, and because I was curious about that, because then I'm thinking of the prayers from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who, you know, he's Kamala Manjari, and he's also singing in this mood, I am yours and you are mine. So yeah, I was just curious if that, like, I am yours doesn't exist.
It depends. I have to see the context of the bhajan. But Kamala Manjari,
Atmanivedana.
In this case, there's a combination of Sadaka Vas and Siddha Vas may be present in any stav and stuti. Other than that, Kamala Manjari will say to Radhika, right? I am yours and you are mine. Because Manjari, Sanchari, Satchamunava, Krishna Rati, Suri Rati, Pushamanu Sarikascha, Bhavulasati. Their mood is towards Surit Bhav. It's Bhavulas. It's like a Sanchari Bhav. But in this Sanchari Bhav, it takes dominance and nourishes their Rati towards Krishna. So it remains as a permanent sentiment. So they don't want to have any direct dealing with Krishna. It is called Tat Tat Bhavichmayi. Understand? So Raghunath Das Goswami in 9th verse of Manasiksha, he explained this clearly. Marisha Natadve Vrajavipina Chandravane Sarim Natadve. Krishna is the prananath of my Swamini. You understand? And therefore we have relationship with Krishna. Who's Madhya? Madhisha is my Swamini. Mine is Srimati Radhika. Krishna is her prananath. Therefore, Krishna can get some attention.
So is this, you mentioned Priyanarma Sakas also. Is this Madhya and Tadiya present in
No.
Sakas?
Yeah. Priyanarma Sakas, they have what is called Anumodita. Anumodita means their happiness is taratmik with Krishna's. So they have, when Krishna associates with gopis, Madhura Bhava Bhavita Sukhi Bhav. They have the, Ujjwal Nilamani explains, they have the suppression of their male mood. And they have Anumodita. They're happy to see Krishna's association with gopis. They have no independent desire to associate with Krishna themselves.
Okay, thank you.
I had, because I know your battery's running out, but you basically described the unfolding of love as a template for us to appreciate some of the sentiments that we're going to be encountering in the verse of Venu Gita. That's basically what I'm understanding from the presentation.
Yes.
As a summary point.
Yes. In other words, if you understand how praying works, then when you see it manifest, like in the 4 kinds of separation and meeting, you understand what's happening. If a particular bhav is expressed, like avahita bhav, which is prominent in Venu Gita, And what we'll do is we're going through Venu Gita. I will ask from time to time for devotees to point out things like, which statement here in this verse is the Avahita Bhav? You understand? In this way, as you're going through, you see yourself, what is Avahita Bhav? What is Atirshara? Atirshara means, ayogi means giving praise to something that doesn't deserve the praise, right? Or chastising something which is inanimate. From understanding these symptoms, when you read, then you'll see that if Radhika criticizes, well, I'm not giving away because I'll ask the question tomorrow as we read it, and then it will come up. Understand?
So
But not,
okay, great. Anyway, that was my general
Mhm.
question, I guess, about a summary. The presentation, the elements or recipe chart that you gave are very developed, and I'm not 100% confident that we've all captured every single element
yeah, no.
in
No.
order to be able to point out in like the Venu Gita, you know,
No.
what's what.
No, you don't have to think so broadly. We will talk a little bit before beginning tomorrow. What are the 4 kinds of meeting and separation? What are the symptoms, especially relevant here, of Pratana Mukata and Avahita Bhav? So we'll set the table for that direct discussion. So you won't have to be searching your mind. Wait a minute, what's this about? Was that this? Was this?
Abhi's got something.
Okay.
Dhanyavad Pranams, everybody.
Dhanyavad Prabhu. Haribol.
Dhanyavad Prabhuji. So thank you so much for this presentation. I found it so sweet and helpful, and I'm appreciating you setting us up for entering into Venu Gita like this. I wanted to ask about this unfoldment of, well, first of all, I think the implications of Shraddha being the kind of lean and thin aspect of prema, but actually of the same substance. That has many implications that I would like to maybe unpack at some point with your guidance. But the specific question I had was in the description of the unfoldment of love from Shraddha onwards, as you've given so far. These are all within the context of Krishna as the object of that love. And of course, Bhagavatam is examples of that, and the gopis are examples of that, etc. So my question is that for, in our case, followers of Rupa Goswami, we have, of course, Krishna is the object of the love of even of the Manjaris who are partial to Radhika. So because they're in the category of Madhurya Rati. So Madhurya Rati is for Krishna. The followers of Srimati Radhika also have a Krishna as their object of love in a sense, but also that is also it's kind of subservient in a sense. This is what I'd like to confirm my understanding with you, to their partiality and their love for Radhika, and their support of Radhika within the context of their loving Krishna is like through the channel of arranging for and supporting the union of Radha and Krishna and serving Radhika in that way. So my question is that in the unfoldment of prema, for someone with that kind of conception and aspiration, is that partiality towards Radhika present throughout? Present even in the lower stages where Ruchi is developing or Nishta is developing these things? Or is Krishna the primary object that we should be focusing on from the perspective of the sadhaka, and then somehow or other the partiality towards Radhika will kind of become an added element at some point in our development of bhakti?
Yeah, so 2 things. One is first to understand that I mentioned a little earlier, so I'm trying to make it clear, that when one obtains a sthai bhav, that sthai bhav is not just towards Krishna. It actually says, sthai bhav utrasa prokta Sri Krishna Vishayini Rati, that Sri Krishna is the Vishay because it accommodates in this way Manjari Bhav. You understand? Sri Krishna Vishayini Rati. So Sri here means Srimati Radhika and Krishna. Plus Jiva Goswami is mentioned. If you hear the word Krishna, axiomatically you should ascribe that it means his entire retinue, which means his Swarup Shakti, meaning Radhika, his Leela, his Dham, his everything. So here, Sri Krishna Vishayani Rati, Radha and Krishna are the Vishay of any Sthai Bhav. Understand? So from the point of view of Manjari Bhav, unlike the Sakhis, who may have Sama Sneha or Radhika Adhika Sneha, etc., right? In the case of the Manjaris, a special, Rupa Goswami is given a special definition. Sanchari Syat Samunava, Krishna Rati Surid Rati, Pushamani Adhikascha, Bhava Ulasa Itiriyate. So, Sanchari Syat Samunava, what appears to be a Sanchari Bhav, becomes prominent in those who have a Surit Bhav towards Radhika, which on a continual basis exceeds Adhika, and Posha means to nourish their Rati to Krishna. Pushamana means to nourish. So because the Manjari's Bhav nourishes their Rati towards Krishna and exceeds it on a continuum, this is a Sanchari Bhav. Now, there's specialities about Sanchari Bhavs as well. When a Sanchari Bhav becomes like the Manjari's Bhav, it makes the Sthai Bhav have three features. One, Sankoch. Sankoch means it contracts the Bhav. Two, it becomes Poshana, it nourishes that Bhav, and Vyapt, it pervades it. So the Madhurya Rati or Sthai Bhav, which is Madhurya Rasa, is made Sankoch, Poshan, and Vyapt by the excessive Rati towards Radhika. And therefore it presents itself like a Sthai Bhav on a permanent basis. You understand? Sanchari Shat Samunava, it presents itself as a permanent mood because that mood does not change. We asked Gurudev in front of my house, we were walking, and Prem brought up this question about whether it's a Sanchari Bhav or Sthai Bhav. Gurudev's answer was, Krishna may do something wrong. Nobody understood the answer, right? Myself, Ashram Raj, Prem, we're all standing around going, well, wait, what does that mean? And then Gurudev kept walking. That was the other thing. He said, if Krishna will do something wrong, and then he started walking. So we didn't know whether he was finished, he was going to complete at the other end, and he just continued walking, didn't say anything else. So then we understood, we got together and started speaking, the possibility of Krishna's creating the very nature of Man is a continuum in Krishna and Radha's relationship. The possibility of the arisal of something being done wrong is always there. So the mood of the Manjaris to assist in this way is a permanent feature. It's not a Sanchari Bhav like that's described as a wave that rises in the ocean of a Sthai Bhav and then recedes. It is a permanent mood that has become Vyapt, means pervaded their mood towards Krishna. Their Krishna Rati is Vyapt by the Surid Rati towards Radhika. It pervades it. It nourishes their relationship towards Krishna. In terms of when it starts to develop, not so much in Shraddha. In Shraddha, that faith is in a sadhu, right? That sadhu, when he starts to give bhajan, starts to point to the object of the faith, right, as being bhajaniya. As the sadhak develops in ruchi, they develop first, as I mentioned, taste for the process itself, coming to a sakti. At that time, ruchi develops in a particular mood. That mood may very well be, because of our bhakti samskars, the unfoldment of the sambandha gyan given at the time of diksha. If not, then it will manifest, because it is composed of Swarup Shakti, whatever the nature of that rasa is. Example is Shyamananda and Hridoy Chaitanya. Though Hridoy Chaitanya, being the disciple of Gauridas Pandit, obviously they were in Sakya Ras, right? Priyanama Sakkas primarily. When Shyamananda is ruchi in Leela, because he's eternally associated. But in Leela, when his ruchi became mature, you should go to Jiva Goswami Pad. You understand? Because your bhajan siksha will then come from there. So when we become mature, ruchi coming to a shakti, then we can be clear. While we're practicing with sambandha gyan, depending on the maturity of that devotee, implications may become more or less. But we want to be careful, because we don't want people in the stage of Shraddha thinking, yes, I am goofy manjaryas, whatever, right? And starting the tendencies of Prakriti Sahajavad, right? So in maturation, then the Diksha mantras become fruitful, right? And then one starts to get a glimpse. And that's why paying attention to your sudden bhajan is very important. If you lose attunement with sudden bhajan, you don't know what's happening. And you'll default to kind of standardized ideas. Oh, it can't be happening to me because I'm the most fallen. We're not even really the most fallen because we can't appreciate that. Actually, Dainya Bhav is a spiritual sentiment. Our humility is in following Vaishnav Sadachar. It's not really in the sense of, I'm the most fallen, I'm very wicked. Right? Because the true feeling of that is not, because if that feeling was there, like if you put your hand in fire, it won't take you very long to jerk your hand out. You understand? So if you really feel the fire of the Dainya Bhav of your fallenness, you'll immediately change it. So Ahamkara doesn't present us with, and still we have some mixture of Ahamkara, doesn't present us with the idea of pure Dainya Bhav. You understand? So if we default to the idea I'm so fallen, and then whatever bhajan tries to reciprocate with you, you kind of almost shy away from it. Oh, no, I'm too fallen. No. You understand? And then the other problem is if you become too aggressive, we're trying to control bhajan life. Yes, I'm tasting something. Radhe. Right? And suddenly Prakriti Sahajavad starts emerging, right? And that's when you give your class and, your head continuously, let me stop, because people sometimes do that naturally. So let me stop criticizing. I don't want to criticize any Vaishnava. But anyway, if it is born from the humility that says, can anyone clean the bathroom? I will clean the bathroom. But I'll make sure the door is open so everybody can see that I'm cleaning the bathroom. You understand? So we just want to be genuine, right? So your question is extremely good, Prabhu, because it is the balance. So hopefully I answered it correctly, that you can understand that in the Sthai Bhav, Radhika is already included there. And when will that come in the Sadik? In Ruchi, coming into mature Ruchi, which is a Sakti. All right, Prabhuji, any last questions? Let me see what my battery life looks like. I plugged in. Okay, it's hanging in, it's like at 12%.
Thank you, Prabhu. We're very much looking forward to the continuation of this discussion. Jamuna, I just have to comment that one thing the presentation has given us is which I had hoped would happen also, is that a need to dive into the subject matter of Rasa Vichar more, so that we have the opportunity to relish the things that you're sharing with us and sharing that we will hear in Venu Gita in the future. So thank you so much for giving this time.
No, thank you, Prabhuji, for your mercy, engaging me, because also for my edification, if I'm repeating it, it's helpful to me also to remember some things like this.
This is ecstatic. So we'll do the same time tomorrow also.
Yes, tomorrow we'll go through the preliminaries of, like I mentioned, then we'll start the verses of Venu Gita. Dhanavad pranam, Prabhuji. Jai vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva patitanam pavane vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And Ananda Prabhu, I just left you.
Yeah, he was with us.
I saw you.
You can't get rid of me, Prabhu. I'm attached now.
Yeah, all right, Haribol, Radhe. Nice to meet everyone whom I don't know.
Hare Krishna.
So when I